Good, happy Sunday morning, December 2nd, 2018. I'm Riley King, and welcome to the Riley King Newscast right here on the Riley King Network. Let's begin. First up, New Hampshire friends remember Bush as man who gave to this country his fullest. Let's take a listen to the video from WMUR News 9, Adam Sexton.
Get jingly at the Made in New England Expo. Experience the incredible array of New England made.
In his visits as a candidate, a vice president, and a president, George H.W. Bush forged a lifetime connection to the Granite State. As America mourns the passing of its 41st president, Bush's former chief of staff, Governor John H. Sununu, says from the front lines of World War II to the White House, it's hard to imagine there will be another leader with such an extensive record of serving his country.
He had a great history of service, but as president in particular, I think he had a huge impact on the world.
Even though President Bush had been in failing health, Sununu says the enormity of this loss is still deeply felt.
No matter how much you anticipate it's imminent, when it does happen, it really does hit you.
When Governor Sununu joined the new administration in 1989, he brought his family with him. The current governor, Chris Sununu, remembers President Bush always cared how he was doing.
We were a bit uprooted, right? We had moved down to Washington, my younger brother and myself and my parents, and I think he, whenever we saw him, he was always very good about taking a moment and coming aside and saying, hey, how's it going?
It's a common refrain. Joel Mayola, future chief of staff to Senator Judd Gregg, volunteered for the Bush 1980 presidential campaign as a college student.
And he would ask about my classes. He would want to know what's happening in my life, and was truly inspirational to have somebody that was running for president be so friendly.
As it is for any president, New Hampshire was a proving ground for Bush. He came here to the Scammon Farm in Stratham, running for re-election in 1992.
The whole road was backed up with buses and the press and people, and it was just an amazing experience.
The Scammons say even with all the trappings of presidential power, Bush was still the same kind man they had always known.
He was truly a person who did and gave to this country his fullest.
Adam Sexton, WMUR, News 9.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. Day 2 of the Spirit of Giving toy drive brings in more than 5,600 toys. Let's take a listen to the video from WMUR News 9, Charisse LeClaire.
Get jingly at the Made in New England Expo. Experience the incredible array of New England.
You're welcome. The parking lot at the Walmart in Manchester was once again bright with smiles of donors and volunteers for the second day of our Spirit of Giving toy drive. The U.S. Marine Corps hopes to collect 40,000 toys to give 2 each to 20,000 kids. And today it seemed like the kids were the ones doing a lot of the donating. Want to put it in the box? Help me? Awesome.
Thank you very much. Merry Christmas.
This family says they wanted to get their boys involved.
We donated a skateboard and Legos and a speaker. We donated lots of stuff.
They had fun shopping for kids of all ages.
I've had my own struggles, and we've we've come a long way, so it was our turn to give back.
That's what it's all about, having fun and making people happy. And kids are sure to be happy this Christmas when they see how much love Granite Staters are putting into this toy drive.
We saw on TV that they were looking for more toys for babies, so we came down to get some.
Probably happy and excited to get something.
And the day isn't possible without the hard work of volunteers who take part in this, who say they get so much back in return.
This is my 3rd year helping out, and I volunteer every year because it's just like so much fun. These kids will get to open these toys and they'll have a Christmas that they enjoy and one that they'll remember.
Thank you guys very much. Merry Christmas.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. And today is the last day, day 3 of the toy drive, the Spirit of Giving toy drive. And we all encourage you to go out to either the Manchester location at the Walmart or the Newington and Crossings to donate toys. They need more toys. More than 11,900 toys have been collected so far. Please help. All of us here at the Riley King Network encourage our viewers to get out today and help donate toys for the last day of the Spirit of Giving toy drive. Man killed in Friday night crash in Concord, police say. A man was killed in a single car crash in Concord on Friday night, police said. Arthur Langos, 52, of Concord, was pronounced dead shortly after the crash, which occurred about 6:45 p.m. on Fisk Road near Thackeray Road, Concord Police Lieutenant Sean Ford said. Ford said Ford escaped, left the roadway, hit a tree, and then rolled over. Nobody else was in the vehicle. The cause of the crash is still under investigation. President George H.W. Bush legacy on Walker's Point. Let's take a listen to the video from WMUR News 9, Tim Callery.
Get jingly at the Made in New England Expo. Experience the incredible array of New England-made products.
Everybody has a George Bush story.
And that's true today. If you were to take a stroll around Kennebunkport, you would hear people sharing fond memories of the president.
I had a girlfriend that was his next door neighbor, so we used to go over and use the swimming pool.
Oh, really?
So, yeah, so we kind of knew him a little bit.
Every once in a while you bump into the gentleman, and it was just kind of fun.
Similar stories were passed around at the Kennebunkport Historical Society, where hundreds arrived to sign a condolence book for the Bush family.
It's amazing, whether it's, you know, I was here when he did this, or I remember when the wall came down, or I voted for him when he was president, to I saw him at Allison's, or I saw him at the Nonantum, I saw him on his boat.
The Bushes have called Kennebunkport their second home for more than a century, anchoring down on Walker's Point, a nurturing place where President Bush and his wife Barbara would welcome family, friends, and even members of the Kennebunkport community, one that is left with a void now that the two are no longer here.
They're both very gracious, very nice people.
Barbara Bush and Senior was awesome. They were awesome people. They were great. They did a lot of things.
I love the Bushes. We've seen their place over there, and I think it's so sad.
We're staying at the Nonantum Resort, and the whole hallway is all President Bush. It was really beautiful.
Yes, they've had a real big impact on it.
Yes, they have. Huge.
You know, it's hard to believe that just a couple of months ago, this community came out here to Walker's Point to pay their respects to First Lady Barbara Bush following her death. Tonight we're seeing that same sense of respect as they once again return here to pay tribute to her husband. Reporting in Kennebunkport, Maine, I'm Tim Callery, WMUR News 9.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. Man seriously injured in fire at Dover restaurant. A 49-year-old man was seriously injured in a fire at a Dover restaurant early Saturday morning, officials said. The fire was reported at the Stratford Farms restaurant at 58 New Rochester Road shortly after midnight, Dover police said in a press release. The man was found outside the building suffering from serious burns. He was initially taken to Wentworth Douglas Hospital and then sent to Massachusetts General Hospital, officials said. The fire caused minor damage to the exterior of the restaurant. It was quickly brought under control, police said. The cause of the fire remains under investigation. Anyone with information is asked to call Dover Police Department at 603-742-4646. Congress, White House on the brink of another government shutdown. Let's take a listen to the video from ABC News.
Alexa, play Imagine Dragons on Amazon Music.
Begin with ABC's exclusive interview with President Trump. Just 5 days before the midterms, the president wants all the focus to be on his signature issue, surprising even the Pentagon with a new call to send more troops to the Mexican border, raising fears of a foreign invasion at odds with the facts. Our chief White House correspondent John Carl spoke with the president last night after a campaign rally in Florida. He joins us now from Marco Island. Good morning, John.
Good morning, George. I flew with the president down to Florida aboard Air Force One, where he kicked off his final sprint of campaign rallies going into Election Day. I spoke to him backstage and began by asking him about that call to dramatically increase the number of active duty U.S. military personnel going to the border. Okay, you're talking about 10,000, maybe 15,000 active duty U.S. military to the border, more than we have fighting the Taliban in Afghanistan, more than we have fighting ISIS in Syria. You're really going to do that?
It's very important. We have to have a wall of people, very highly trained people, terrific, dedicated patriots. That's what they are. You have caravans coming up that look a lot larger than it's reported, actually. I mean, I'm pretty good at estimating crowd size, and I will tell you, they look a lot bigger than people would think.
What we see is deeply impoverished people fleeing violence, many of them women and children. You're going to send 15,000 active duty U.S. military?
Mostly men, and it's actually mostly young men, and a lot of rough people, John. They're pushing the women right up into the front, not good, and they're pushing the few kids right up to the front.
But they're 900 miles away. The active duty military, you know the law. I mean, you're the president. Yep. They can't arrest people crossing the border. They can't.
It depends. It depends. National emergency covers a lot of territory. They can't invade our country. You look at that; it almost looks like an invasion. It really does look like an invasion.
Caravans are an invasion?
Oh, I think so. I think when you look at some of them, when you look at some of the people within the caravan, yeah, I think it could be considered an invasion of our country. We can't have it.
But there has been no formal national emergency declaration, which means those troops can only act in support of Border Patrol, doing things like transporting agents and building tents. President Trump has made fear of illegal immigrants a key theme of his closing argument for the midterms. But healthcare has emerged as a top campaign issue, with many Republicans hammered over a GOP lawsuit that would do away with Obamacare's requirement that insurance companies must cover people with pre-existing conditions, a lawsuit supported by the White House. You've been saying that Democrats want to take away pre-existing conditions. I mean, it's your administration that's supporting a lawsuit that would allow health
No, but I'm
insurance
going to
companies.
replace pre-existing conditions, and I've always been there. What the Democrats are going to do is they're going to destroy our entire health care, and you're not going to have any health care.
And as President Trump makes his final push before Tuesday's election, he's spending all of his time in states he won, campaigning for candidates for Senate and governor.
Well, I think we're doing great in the Senate, as you would probably see and say, and I've heard you sort of say it, but we're doing pretty well in the Senate, and I think we're doing pretty well in the House. You know what I'll say? It's going to be an interesting evening.
But he seems to be all but conceding that Democrats are likely to win control of the House. Can you work with them if the Democrats win the House?
Well, we'd certainly try. I'm looking to unify. I always like to unify. We will certainly try. They've had a very hard time because they haven't been winning, and we'll see what happens in 5 days from now. It'll be very exciting, and it's going to be a very close race. They don't talk about the blue wave anymore. It's going to be a very close race. I think the Senate, we're looking very good. We feel very good about the Senate. And frankly, I think we feel pretty good about the House, but a lot of people, so many races, it's hard for me to get to every one of them.
If they get into the investigations and they get into your business dealings and ask your tax returns.
I've been an open book for so long, John. You know that better than anybody. I mean, I'm an open book. And frankly, so many people have looked at me for so many years, and I guess it's probably one of the reasons I won. But I think that they're going to want to get along, too.
And finally, you remember well in the campaign, you made a promise.
In this journey, I will never lie to you. I will never tell you something I do not believe.
Can you tell me now, honestly, have you kept to that promise at all times? Have you always
Well,
been
I try.
truthful?
I mean, I do try. I think you try, too. You say things about me that are not necessarily correct. I do try, and I always want to tell the truth. When I can, I tell the truth. I mean, sometimes it turns out to be where something happens, it's different, or there's a change, but I always like to be truthful.
Mr. Trump has a long and established record of making exaggerations and false claims. The Washington Post has tracked more than 5,000 false or misleading claims since he became president. One of the misstatements that I asked him about was his statement that the United States is the only country in the world that has birthright citizenship. In fact, there are more than 30 countries that have birthright citizenship, including Canada. When I pressed him on that, he said simply, "That's what I was told." George?
Yeah, and John, the president did seem a lot.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. And that does it for the Riley King Newscast right here on the Riley King Network. I hope you all have a great rest of your Sunday and a great rest of your day. And I'll see you back here later on today for another newscast. And I'll have a news report coming up in a little bit. Goodbye, everyone.